The young man had grown used to the rhythm of exhaustion. Each day ended the same way, shuffling back home after long hours at work, earbuds drowning out the noise of the city, his eyes fixed on the ground ahead. Life felt mechanical, as though each day was only a copy of the one before. He carried no expectations of surprises or beauty along the way. In truth, he had quietly begun to believe the world no longer cared for small acts of kindness. People seemed too busy, too wrapped in their own burdens to look up, let alone help a stranger. That quiet thought had been resting in him for months, making his heart feel heavier than the bag he carried on his shoulder. It was late in the afternoon when he noticed the old man on the side of the road. His back was bent low, his hands gripping two heavy bags that seemed far too much for his thin frame. Each step the old man took appeared to cost him effort, like climbing a hill no one else could see. The young man slowed down but kept walking at first. His instinct was to look away, to avoid the pull of involvement. He told himself someone else would stop, someone stronger, someone with more time. That was how the world worked now, wasn't it? Everyone hoping the responsibility fell on another's shoulders. But his steps grew slower, his conscience tugging at him like an invisible thread. There was something in the old man's struggle that pierced the quiet shield he had built around himself. The man did not ask for help. His silence spoke more loudly than words. It was a silence of dignity, of someone unwilling to beg, but still deeply in need. And somehow, that silence pressed against the young man's chest until he could no longer ignore it. He stopped walking. His heart hesitated before his feet turned back. The old man stood still now, resting, his eyes lowered as though counting the cracks on the ground. For a moment, the young man only looked at him, unsure of what to say. He felt awkward, almost embarrassed, as if kindness had become something rare enough to make people suspicious. Yet, even through his doubt, a quiet determination stirred inside him. He stepped closer, cleared his throat, and simply reached out his hands. The old man looked up then, his eyes lined with years, his breath heavy but steady. Without a word, he let the young man take the bags from him. They were heavier than expected, pulling down hard against his arms. Yet strangely, his heart felt lighter the moment he lifted them. The weight of the bags pressed hard into his hands, yet it was the silence between them that weighed more. The old man walked slowly at his side, his steps measured and fragile, while the young man adjusted his pace to match. The road ahead stretched longer than he had imagined. Each turn revealed another stretch, and the thought flickered across his mind that he could have simply walked away, spared himself the strain. But with each step, something shifted quietly inside him. The silence of their walk was not empty. It carried the rhythm of two lives, momentarily intertwined. The young man found himself listening not to music, not to chatter, but to the sound of footsteps. One steady, one strained, blending into a fragile harmony. For the first time in a long while, he was not rushing to escape the day. He was present, feeling the ground beneath him, the weight in his arms, and the presence of another soul beside him. As the road stretched on, his mind wandered. He thought about how often he had ignored people in passing, how many faces blurred into the background of his daily routine, how many had been carrying their own invisible bags, too heavy for their strength, while he walked past without noticing. The thought made his chest ache with a quiet guilt. He realized kindness was not gone from the world, it was hidden beneath layers of distraction, waiting for someone to uncover it. The old man still said nothing, but every so often, he glanced sideways, his eyes soft and weary. There was no demand in them, no expectation, only a quiet acknowledgement, as though the presence of the young man was enough, and that simplicity struck him harder than any words could. He did not need thanks, he realized. The act itself was the gift. The road grew steeper in places, the bags dragging his shoulders low, yet he did not complain. Instead, he found himself reflecting on the strange paradox of the moment. The bags were heavy, yes, but they carried something more than clothing or food. They carried meaning, a reminder that helping another did not drain him, it restored him. For each step he took, he felt something return to him that he had not realized was missing, a sense of belonging, of connection, of purpose. By the time the village lights began to glimmer faintly in the distance, his arms burned with effort, yet he felt lighter than he had in months. He glanced at the old man and, without words, understood that both of them were carrying more than just bags. They were carrying proof that even in a weary world, kindness could still walk beside you. The village road narrowed as they drew closer to their destination. The old man's steps grew slower, but there was a faint steadiness to them now, as if the burden had been lifted, not just from his arms but from his spirit. The young man shifted the bags in his hands, his muscles aching, yet he felt strangely unwilling for the journey to end. There was something in this quiet companionship that he wanted to hold on to a little longer. Finally, the old man stopped in front of a modest house with faded walls and a crooked gate. He motioned gently with his hand, and the young man understood. He set the bags down just inside the gate, the release sending a rush of relief through his arms. But even as the weight left his body, he realized something unexpected had happened. The heaviness in his heart, the quiet gloom he had been carrying for months, had gone with it. The old man looked at him then. His lips parted slightly as if to form words, but no sound came. Instead, his eyes spoke, deep and shining with a gratitude that needed no language. It was not the kind of gratitude that made one feel superior, but the kind that humbled you, that reminded you of how deeply human we all are in our need for one another. For a long, unbroken moment, they stood there, two strangers bound by nothing but an act of kindness that neither of them had planned. The young man gave a small nod, almost shy, and turned to leave. The road back felt lighter, his steps quicker, not because his arms were free, but because his heart was no longer weighed down by indifference. He thought about how simple it had been, a choice made in a single moment, a decision to step forward instead of walking away, yet that choice had transformed him. As he walked, the night air felt softer, the stars above more visible than he remembered. He realized then that kindness was not something lost in the modern world, it was simply hidden, waiting for someone to bring it to life. And in helping the old man, he had rediscovered not just compassion for others, but compassion for himself. He carried nothing in his hands now, yet he felt as though he held something immeasurably, a quiet truth that would stay with him. The truth that sometimes, by lifting another's burden, we lift our own. There are moments in life that arrive without warning, asking nothing but a simple choice from us, to look away or to step forward. This story reminds us that kindness is never wasted. It leaves an imprint on both the giver and the receiver. Perhaps today, someone nearby carries a weight unseen, and perhaps you are the one who can help lighten it. If this story touched you, share it with others, leave your thoughts below, and subscribe for more tales of kindness that remind us of the beauty still alive in this world.